Taeyong stood silent, his expression unreadable as the officer's words hung in the air like a bitter echo. The man's tone was laced with mockery, his smirk a cruel twist as he sneered, "Such a gold digger you are, Tae. Your husband was shot, and now you've trapped the billionaire, the chief of police in Seoul, no less. Wow. Many tried for him, but none succeeded. Except you. Anyway, congratulations." Before Taeyong could respond, the sound of heavy footsteps interrupted the moment. The officer's smirk faltered as Jungkook's commanding presence filled the space. His voice, calm yet sharp, cut through the tension like a blade. "Thank you, officer. By the way, you're suspended for a week." The officer's eyes widened in shock. "Chief. I was just talking to Tae." Jungkook's gaze hardened. "Taeyong," he corrected, his tone firm. "Not Tae. Address him respectfully." "You can't suspend me without reason," the officer protested, his voice rising in indignation. Jungkook took a step closer, his authority radiating with every word. "The reason is harassment and unprofessional behavior." The officer's defiance wavered, but he managed to stammer, "I'll report this, Chief." Taeyong, sensing the escalating tension, reached out and gently held Jungkook's hand. His voice was soft, almost pleading. "Appa, please." Jungkook's jaw tightened, but his voice remained steady. "You misbehaved, and I have every right to take action. Do you need further explanation?" "Chief, this isn't fair," the officer muttered, his bravado crumbling under Jungkook's unwavering gaze. Jungkook's patience snapped, his voice dropping to a dangerous low. "Suspended for a month. Open your mouth again, and I won't hesitate to destroy your career." He grabbed the officer by his collar, his tone leaving no room for argument. "Decide. Now." "Sorry, Chief," the officer mumbled, his head bowed in defeat. "Leave," Jungkook ordered, his voice cold and final. As the officer hurried away, Jungkook turned his attention back to Taeyong, who stood with his gaze lowered, his fingers nervously fidgeting. Jungkook's expression softened as he stepped closer, his voice losing its edge. "Why didn't you come inside?" Taeyong stood still, his gaze fixed on the ground. Jungkook's eyes softened as he watched his husband, the tension in his jaw easing. Slowly, he stepped closer, his polished shoes clicking against the pavement. "Taeyong," Jungkook tilted his head, studying his husband's downcast face. Without warning, he closed the distance between them, pinning Taeyong gently against the car. "So," Jungkook began, his voice teasing, "are we taking the car or the bike?" Taeyong glanced at him, his expression thoughtful. "The car," he answered softly. "The car?" Jungkook raised an eyebrow, his grin widening mischievously. "Why not a bike ride?" "You said we're shopping," Taeyong replied gently, meeting his gaze. "It'll be difficult to carry everything on the bike." Jungkook chuckled, shaking his head. "Oh, I see. So, sir is planning to loot his poor husband today?" He folded his arms, pretending to look wounded. Taeyong's lips curved into a shy smile as he murmured, "Appa, you're the one who said it." "I don't need anything, then." "Kidding, Tae," Jungkook said warmly, his laughter softening as he reached out to brush a strand of hair from Taeyong's forehead. "Till now, I didn't know what to do with my salary. But now I've got someone to spoil." Taeyong lowered his gaze, his cheeks faintly pink. Jungkook's hand lingered for a moment before he stepped back, only to add, "But honestly, I still want a bike ride." "Maybe at night," Taeyong offered hesitantly, his voice quiet but sweet. "You're in uniform too, Appa." Jungkook's smirk deepened, his eyes gleaming with playful intent. He leaned closer, his tone dropping to a low whisper that sent shivers through Taeyong. "You mean after our passionate moments tonight?" he teased, the words laced with mischief and a hint of memory. Taeyong's cheeks flushed a deep crimson. Jungkook leaned in closer, his forehead nearly touching Taeyong's, their breaths mingling in the cool evening air, and Jungkook's voice dropped to a teasing murmur. "Does it still hurt?" Taeyong's face flushed deeper, and he quickly glanced around, worried someone might overhear. Appa, stop, he whispered, his voice tinged with both embarrassment and affection. This is your office, and you're the chief. People are watching. Jungkook chuckled, clearly enjoying Taeyoung's reaction. His hand slid to rest lightly on Taeyoung's waist, pulling him slightly closer. It's almost 6, he murmured. Most of them have already left. And besides, I can romance my husband wherever I want. Taeyoung pushed lightly against Jungkook's chest, shaking his head as his voice wavered. Let's go, please. I don't like it here. Jungkook sighed, stepping back reluctantly, but his grin didn't falter. Fine, he relented, opening the car door for Taeyoung with a small, playful bow. Get in, my shy little husband. But don't think you're escaping me tonight. The ride was quiet, but the silence wasn't awkward. It was laced with a quiet intimacy as Jungkook's gaze flickered to Taeyoung at every turn of the road. At each signal, he reached out, holding Taeyoung's hand in his larger one, as if grounding them both. Taeyoung, deep in thought, finally broke the silence. Appa, he began softly, his voice uncertain. Are you really going to suspend him? Jungkook smirked faintly, his eyes momentarily leaving the road to glance at his husband. Thank you for reminding me, he said, his tone tinged with irony. I'll send the email as soon as we're home. Misbehaving is unacceptable, Tae. But... Appa, Taeyoung tried, his voice gentle, almost pleading. Before he could continue, Jungkook brought the car to a stop in front of their destination. He turned to Taeyoung, his expression softening as he reached into the glove compartment and pulled out a neatly packed shirt, the fingers deftly unbuttoning the crisp uniform shirt he wore. His dark eyes caught Taeyoung's, and he smirked. Don't look away, he murmured, his voice low and commanding. Taeyoung's cheeks flushed as he instinctively lowered his gaze, but Jungkook clicked his tongue, repeating, I said don't look away. His gaze was intense, almost playful, and Taeyoung hesitated before nodding lightly, his trembling hands clutching the black shirt Jungkook had taken out. Jungkook shrugged off the uniform shirt, leaving his toned torso exposed, and Taeyoung tried to steady his hands as he quickly unbuttoned the black shirt Jungkook had handed him. The faint tremor in Taeyoung's hands didn't go unnoticed. Jungkook watched him with quiet amusement, his expression unreadable but his eyes unwavering. Finally, Taeyoung offered the shirt. Jungkook took it, slipping it on with practiced ease, adjusting the collar before fastening the lower buttons. But then he paused, his eyes locking with Taeyoung's. I think someone else should finish the job, he teased, his voice soft but firm. Taeyoung pouted faintly, his hands reaching up to fasten the first button. Jungkook waited patiently, his gaze never leaving Taeyoung's face. As Taeyoung reached the second button, Jungkook let out a soft groan, the sound breaking the rhythm of Taeyoung's task. He paused, looking up nervously. Continue, twink, Jungkook murmured, his tone tinged with mischief. Taeyoung blushed deeply, his fingers hastening to finish the rest. As he fastened the last button, Jungkook caught his hand, pulling him close and pressing a feather-light kiss to his lips. Thank you, he murmured, his lips brushing against Taeyoung's. Taeyoung froze for a moment, wide-eyed and flustered. Jungkook leaned back slightly, his voice dipping into a teasing warning. Get down, or I might change my mind about shopping, he said, his gaze flickering to Taeyoung's lips again. Flustered and red-faced, Taeyoung quickly stepped out of the car, leaving Jungkook chuckling to himself before following. At the store, Taeyoung wandered past the racks, his expression distant as the attendant eagerly brought him options to try on. Sir, this would suit you perfectly, the man offered with a bright smile, reaching toward Taeyoung with a jacket. Before Taeyoung could respond, Jungkook appeared, tapping the man's shoulder lightly. I'm his husband, Jungkook said with a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. I think I can help him out, don't you? And stop being so touchy, D-E-A-R. Appa, stop, Taeyoung whispered, tugging lightly at Jungkook's sleeve. He was just helping me. The attendant froze, his smile faltering as a woman, presumably his superior, approached. Is there a problem, sir? She asked cautiously. Yes, Jungkook replied smoothly, his gaze cutting toward the man. His loose character. Be careful when you hire your employees. The woman's face paled as she bowed slightly. I'm so sorry, sir. I'll assist your husband myself. She turned to the man and whispered furiously, Idiot, he's the chief of police. Just leave. Now. The man scurried off, leaving Jungkook smirking as he leaned back against a nearby display. Taeyoung, meanwhile, seemed uninterested as the woman brought him new collections, unwrapping them one by one in hopes of catching his attention. Jungkook stayed a step back, scrolling on his phone, but every so often, his gaze flicked back to Taeyoung, quietly observing. The lady smiled politely, holding up a neatly folded shirt. Sir, please try this. The trial room is this way, she said, gesturing toward the fitting area. Taeyoung was about to head toward the trial room when he noticed a man approach Jungkook. Though their conversation was too quiet for him to hear, Taeyoung's heart sank when Jungkook didn't even glance his way, let alone introduce him. The man seemed friendly, but Jungkook's indifference stung. Feeling hurt, Taeyoung turned on his heel and walked into the trial room, locking the door behind him. Jungkook, who had been observing everything from the corner of his eye, sighed. After a moment, he walked over and knocked on the door. Twink, open the door, he called, his tone firm but laced with affection. The lady assisting them approached, looking concerned. Sir, is there a problem? She asked hesitantly. Jungkook turned to her with a smirk. Yeah, his zip fly got stuck. Would you like to help instead of me? The lady's face turned crimson. No, sir. I'm sorry, she stammered before muttering something under her breath and retreating to the counter. Jungkook turned back to the door, his patience thinning. Tae, you better open this door, or you know what I'm capable of. What? Taeyoung's voice came from inside, muffled but clearly annoyed. A moment later, the door unlocked, and Taeyoung peeked out, his expression flustered. I'm changing, he protested. Jungkook stepped inside, closing the door behind him. His eyes softened as he noticed the faint shimmer of tears in Taeyoung's eyes. And why the tears? He asked gently. Did the clothes bite you? Taeyoung looked away, his voice trembling. You said you came alone when I was right there. You didn't even introduce me. Are you embarrassed of me? Jungkook's expression darkened, but not with anger, his protective instincts flared. Shut up, he said, his voice low but steady. Do you know who that man was? A wanted criminal. I wasn't talking to him as a friend. He was threatening me. Taeyoung's eyes widened in surprise. I'm sorry, he whispered, his voice barely audible. But, he was smiling and patting your back. Jungkook let out a dry laugh. You better be sorry, he said, his tone softening. That's how they express their grudges. Should I have thrown my husband into danger by introducing you? Taeyoung pouted, his fingers nervously playing with the buttons of his shirt. Jungkook sighed, his resolve melting at the sight. You know I can't stay mad at you, he murmured, reaching out to gently caress Taeyoung's cheek. Don't cry, okay? Taeyoung nodded, his pout still lingering. Jungkook smiled, his hand lingering on Taeyoung's face. Tae, he began, his voice earnest, it's not easy to let someone into your life. Compatibility matters. Even getting physical isn't easy for me, I can't stand anyone else's touch. But with you. He paused, searching for the right words. I'm madly into you, Tae. Totally under your spell. Nothing feels uncomfortable with you. I want you every second of every day. Taeyoung's cheeks flushed, and he nodded again, his heart swelling at Jungkook's words. So don't let those unwanted thoughts creep in, okay? Jungkook added, his tone firm but loving. Okay, Taeyoung whispered. Jungkook's smile widened. Are you done? Did you pick anything, or should I choose for you? My taste is always great, you know. Taeyoung smiled shyly. I know. Jungkook raised an eyebrow, amused. Oh? And how do you know that? Taeyong pointed at the mirror, his reflection showing, for example, "This choice of yours is great." Jungkook chuckled, his laughter warm and genuine. "Why, baby, why are you so good? My sweet poison. Why do you remind me of that so often?" Jungkook grinned, leaning in to press a soft kiss to Taeyong's forehead. Okay. Sorry," he said, his voice filled with affection. The next morning, Jungkook insisted on driving Taeyong to college after a few weeks of break. "I can go with the driver," Taeyong said softly, fiddling with the strap of his bag. Jungkook raised an eyebrow, his hands firmly on the wheel. "Why? Are you ashamed to flaunt your man?" "It's not that," Taeyong hesitated, his voice faltering. They've seen Daehoon before," his words trailed off nervously. The mention of the name immediately darkened Jungkook's mood. His jaw clenched, and his voice dropped, calm yet firm. "Enough. I've told you, we will not talk about it anymore. You are my husband, Taeyong. End of discussion." Taeyong's eyes widened, and his voice softened even further. "Appa, are you angry?" Jungkook shook his head, his expression unreadable. "No," he murmured, focusing on the road as silence settled between them. Taeyong bit his lip, unsure if Jungkook was truly okay. When they arrived at the college, Jungkook parked the car but didn't move to let Taeyong out immediately. Instead, he reached over, taking both of Taeyong's hands in one of his. Taeyong blinked in confusion as Jungkook used his free hand to button up the few open buttons of Taeyong's shirt. Taeyong pouted, glancing down at his chest. "I look like a high school kid," he mumbled, his tone bordering on a whine. Jungkook's eyebrows arched playfully. "First of all, this shirt is hugging your body way too well. On top of that, your exposed chest is just asking for attention. I can't take that risk." Taeyong huffed and pushed Jungkook's hand away gently as he got out of the car. Jungkook followed him without hesitation. "Where are you going?" Taeyong asked, turning to face him. "To leave you at your classroom," Jungkook replied nonchalantly. "Appa, I'm not a kid." "I know how to get there," Taeyong protested, his voice tinged with exasperation. Jungkook shrugged, a mischievous glint in his eyes. "I'm still coming. Are you walking, or should I pick you up and carry you?" Taeyong stomped his foot in frustration, muttering under his breath as he walked ahead. Jungkook simply smiled, following behind with an amused expression. As they approached the classroom, Taeyong noticed the stairs. Everyone's eyes seemed glued to them, some whispering, others simply gawking. Taeyong's cheeks reddened in embarrassment. "Everyone is looking at me," he muttered. No, you're wrong," Jungkook said, leaning in slightly. "They're staring at your husband." Taeyong rolled his eyes. "Jungkook, I swear, if you don't leave now, I'll. What will you do?" Jungkook teased, his smirk widening. "I won't let you inside the room tonight," Taeyong shot back, narrowing his eyes. Jungkook gasped theatrically. "Why Jungkook? Where is Appa?" "Just go," Taeyong said, flustered. "And you're in uniform, people are already staring." Ignoring his protests, Jungkook grabbed Taeyong by the wrist, pulling him close. His voice softened, but his tone held an edge of pride. "Mr. Handsome, you should be proud to be accompanied by the chief of police. It's not a joke. Leave me, Jungkook. It's my college," Taeyong whispered urgently. Jungkook tilted his head, his smirk never faltering. "Call me Appa." "No, not now," Taeyong retorted. Jungkook leaned closer, his voice a low murmur. "I'm not asking you to shout my name. Just call me, Tae, or else," his lips quirked up mischievously. "I'll kiss you right here." Taeyong's eyes widened, and he glanced around nervously. Appa, he blurted quickly, his voice rising slightly in pitch. "Is that enough?" "Not enough," Jungkook said, his grin widening. "Say it with some feeling. Not just for the sake of it. Come on, quick, I'm getting late." Taeyoung groaned, his resistance fading as he leaned in closer and whispered, I love you. Jungkook's teasing demeanor softened, and his smile turned warm. I love you, too. Before Taeyoung could step away, Jungkook leaned in, pressing a quick kiss to his lips. The soft touch lingered just long enough to make Taeyoung's heart race before Jungkook pulled away, a playful twinkle in his eye. He winked at the stunned classmates watching nearby, then turned and walked off with a proud stride. The classroom erupted in whispers. Taeyoung, he's so romantic, one boy said wistfully. I'm so jealous right now, another muttered enviously. How hot he is, and in uniform, a girl whispered, her cheeks pink. Taeyoung buried his face in his hands, his embarrassment reaching its peak. Ignoring the endless murmurs and comments, he slipped into a seat in the corner of the room, hoping to escape the attention. Inwardly, he sighed. I'm not going to let you off for this, Appa. I can't even look my classmates in the eye now. Jungkook's mom gazed at Taeyoung with a mix of sadness and guilt. She remembered the pain her elder son had inflicted on this angelic-looking boy, and a wave of guilt washed over her. Yet, she was also grateful that her younger son, Jungkook, had gone above and beyond to make Taeyoung happy, helping him forget the trauma of his past. Over the past weeks, Jungkook's mom had made a conscious effort to mend her relationship with Taeyoung, acknowledging the depth of his importance to her beloved son. With a genuine smile, she drew closer to Taeyoung and asked, Tae, dear, why didn't you answer Jungkook's call? Taeyoung turned around, his lips pursed in a pout. Did you two fight? Did he do something? Jungkook's mom asked. Taeyoung hesitated, his cheeks flushing. Mom, he kissed me in front of my friends, and I was. His voice trailed off, embarrassment written all over his face. Jungkook's mom giggled, how romantic. I didn't know my kook was so romantic. Taeyoung's eyes widened, his face growing hotter. Mom, it was embarrassing. His mom teased, what's embarrassing? If I were you, I would kiss back my husband. You need guts. She winked, her expression playful. Taeyoung's face burned, and he muttered, Mom, you mean it's okay? His mom nodded, patting his shoulder reassuringly. Of course, Taeyoung. Love shouldn't be embarrassing. With that, she left the kitchen, leaving Taeyoung to his cooking. He flipped the meat, his movements a bit jerky, his mind still reeling from the conversation. Under his breath, he whispered, I won't kiss him, never in my university. Just then, Jungkook walked into the kitchen, his police uniform a stark reminder of his profession. He wrapped his arms around Taeyoung's waist, pulling him close. You smell yummy, Tae, Jungkook whispered, burying his face in Taeyoung's hair. Taeyoung placed his hands above Jungkook's, his voice soft. I was trying some new recipe I came across. Jungkook's eyes sparkled with mischief. Me too. I want to try something I came across. Let's go to our room. Taeyoung's eyes narrowed, and he pushed Jungkook away. Appa, I'm mad at you. Jungkook burst into laughter, his eyes crinkling at the corners. Tae, if you're angry, you should sound it. Not giving in to my arms and then saying you're mad. Taeyoung's face flushed, and he pushed Jungkook away again. Stay away, then. Look, I'm angry. Jungkook leaned against the counter, crossing his arms. Oh, yeah, for the kiss. I'm sorry. It was purposefully done. Taeyoung's voice was laced with a hint of embarrassment. I know that, it was awkward afterward. Jungkook's grin softened. Is it? Baby, sorry to say, but every day this is going to happen. Taeyoung's eyes sparkled with determination. Appa, you can't do that. I'm going to set some rules for you. Jungkook's eyes glinted with amusement. Okay, set the rules, let me see. Taeyoung began, you can't kiss me or accompany me to my class. Jungkook nodded, his expression serious. For that, you better hire a driver, next one. Taeyoung continued, if you visited some crime site, then you can't hug me. You need to freshen up. Jungkook accepted, his voice low. I'll keep that in mind. Taeyong added, and you can't, twice. It pains. Jungkook's eyes sparkled with mischief. I broke the third rule already, next. Taeyong's face flushed, and he whispered, that's all for now. I'll keep adding. Jungkook grinned, his eyes glinting with amusement. And I'll keep breaking them. You can punish me by asking for extra rounds. Taeyong's eyes widened, and he whispered, Appa. Yes, baby, if you're done trying your new recipe, which looks like a disaster, can you come with me? Drop in and go. Taeyong hesitated, and Jungkook added, to bathe together, I know you're waiting for me. Taeyong's face flushed, and he whispered, not that I want to bathe with you, anyway, you'll make some excuses and trick me into coming to the washroom, and I end up bathing twice, so, it's better I wait. Jungkook's chuckle was low, his eyes gleaming with sensual intent. You're so clever, Tae, now, come here. I have some wicked plans for you. Taeyong's eyes widened, his breath catching as Jungkook's voice dripped with seduction. What kind of plans, Appa? He stuttered, his voice barely above a whisper. Jungkook's smile was a slow, sensual burn. Plans that involve getting you naked, and keeping you that way for a long, long time. You've been thinking about this at the office, haven't you, Appa? Yes, I was, trying to find ways to make it less painful for my handsome husband, while still pleasuring him like he deserves. Taeyong's face flushed, and he hastily covered his ears, his eyes sparkling with embarrassment. Appa, no. With a playful laugh, Jungkook chased after Taeyong, who ran to their room. Jungkook bounded behind him, his lips curved into a smile of adoration. As they entered the room, Jungkook swiftly closed the distance between them, pinning Taeyong against the wall with his body. Taeyong's breath caught as Jungkook's lips brushed against his ear, his voice whispering sweet nothings. Don't be shy, my love. I want to make you feel so good. Your body deserves to be worshipped, and I'm the only one who can do it justice. Taeyong's eyes fluttered closed, his heart racing as Jungkook's hands roamed over his body, tracing the curves of his waist and hips. Jungkook. He whispered. Jungkook's lips curved into a sensual smile. Say my name again, Tae. Say it like you mean it.